Welcome, everyone. I'm Lee Merriweather, and with me is Todd Orston. Todd and I are partners at the law firm of Merriweather and Tharp, and you're listening to Merriweather and Tharp Radio on the new Talk 106.7. Here you'll learn about divorce, family law, tips on how to save your marriage if it's in the middle of a crisis, and from time to time, even tips on how to take your marriage to the next level. And even time to time...
the intro to the next level.
Intro to the next level. Oh, I'm getting tongue-tied.
But you do it so well.
I gotta keep it entertaining.
Well, speaking of entertaining, I know usually you're the one to talk about how excited you are about the show, all right? But I got to tell you, I am so excited about today's show. And you know why?
Why?
Because it's that time of year again. One of my favorite holidays is just around the corner.
Sweet.
Yep.
You know, I do think it's a great holiday. I mean, talk about it's a great holiday for the kids. I agree. They just love Halloween.
Yep. No. No. I'm not talking about Halloween. I'm talking about National Checklist Day. Yeah.
What?
Come on, man. I mean,
thing?
gathering around the kitchen table, making checklists for anything you can think of. It is an amazing holiday. You don't celebrate Checklist Day. October 30th, every year.
I've never heard of National Checklist Day.
All right. We're going to have to do a show just... All right. I'm only kidding. I love Halloween. All right.
Is there really a national checklist?
That's what I found online. So apparently it is recognized as National Checklist Day. So for those of you listening, start your lists and celebrate the holiday. But no, Halloween, obviously, so much fun. We decorate the house, and kids, obviously, my kids are getting older, but still enjoy the holiday.
Yeah, we moved, so now we're going to have to go to another neighborhood to trick or treat.
All right, so I know this is going to be the second Halloween show that we are doing, the annual Halloween show. And, and basically what you and I talked about and what we're going to do today is have a fun show. We're going to talk about family law problems for the undead and other Halloween monsters.
All right. That sounds awesome.
All right. Well,
where do I sign up?
Well, here you go. Sign here and here. You don't need to sign up since you're here. Let's just go get started.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go.
All right. So I say we do it this way. We'll do hypotheticals back and forth, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
That sounds like fun.
All right. So who's going to start?
You start.
All right, I'm going to start. Okay. So let's start this way. A zombie walks into your office.
Headshot.
And I'm sorry, what?
Headshot.
No. A zombie as a client.
Well,
all right.
But wait a minute. They're going to... I don't want a zombie to eat my brains or bite me and I turn into a zombie.
You've watched too much TV. We're not talking about... This is not killing the zombie. This is hopefully a zombie retaining you.
I'm an expert at zombies. I've been watching The Walking Dead, so I know just what to do.
Why do I think that in a real-life zombie apocalypse, you'd be like the first one down? You'd be like, all right, follow me, everyone. I'm an expert. And brains on plates. I mean, all right. So
I'll be first one down with saving everyone.
Yeah, all right. That's not what I meant. All right. But a zombie walks into your office, all right, and wants a divorce.
Wait a minute. So, hang on a minute. When he died, that would automatically, by Georgia law, terminated the marriage.
Okay.
So,
getting a little annoyed. All right. All right. Yes, two dead people can't marry, and a divorce is not required if someone dies. This is a zombie. Why is it that the listeners understand and you're not grasping this? Okay.
Wait. How did they get a marriage license? I thought you had to be alive to get a marriage license.
Al, are there weapons here? I mean, we're going to put this I can kill zombies thing to the test.
Well, I'm just trying to make your hypothetical sound real.
How realistic do you need it to be? All right. So basically, the zombie, let's call the zombie Joe. Maybe if we...
zombie.
Yeah, maybe if we give a name,
okay,
you can grasp it a little bit better. And he tells you he needs a divorce because he can't stay married to his wife another minute.
Why not? I mean, is there anything we can do to say? Can he talk? Can the zombie talk? I thought
mean,
most of them are like,
oh, divorce. Okay.
So, all right. So
okay,
the zombie
this is
actually.
Joe the talking zombie.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, just trying to make it as realistic as possible.
All right. Let's just say he's tired of her cooking. All right. You know, it's basically.
That doesn't sound like a real reason to get a divorce.
He wants to branch out. He wants, you know, it's.
Hey, what if we could get her cooking lessons, and maybe they wouldn't get a divorce.
All right. The undead marriage is irretrievably broken, pursuant to Georgia law. Okay. He wants to try other types of foods. You know, not just the normal human brain that he's used to eating. You know, like cow brain, bird brain. Ooh, that's a bird brain.
Bird brain.
So
Hey, you know what I
get
heard?
the idea.
You know what I heard? Cow brain tastes like
What?
chicken.
Oh, see, and we get the big sigh from Al. All right. Okay. So, he needs or wants a divorce because he can't live with his zombie wife any longer. Okay. Can he file under the ground of cruel treatment if she served him the same kind of brains throughout the entire marriage? And basically, if he can do that, you know, what's the divorce cost to him?
An arm and a leg.
I need something to throw. I need
Sorry.
preferably heavy or sharp.
I've got my anti-zombie gear on, so
you
just
are
bounce
in
off.
rare form. All right.
All right. So, how much it'll cost, and can he get a divorce? He wants to call eating the same food every day cruel treatment.
I mean, I don't want to eat brain ever, so if that's all I'm eating, but I'm not a zombie.
Okay. Yeah. Well, in Georgia, there's actually 13 different grounds to get a divorce under. One of them is cruel treatment. I'm not sure that would classify as cruel treatment, but it's up to the trier of fact. But at the end of the day, in Georgia, there's one grounds that's used most commonly, and that's because we are a no-fault state, as are most states or all states in the United States. They're no fault, so it just requires that the marriage is irretrievably broken. There's no requirement of pleading the cruel treatment. I mean, he could, and there's some judges that will consider behavior when it comes to equitably dividing up the estate of the divorce. I'm sorry, the estate of the parties, but it's not necessary to go down that route. A lot of the courts just don't care. I hate to say that, but...
Well, and on top of that, I'll build on that a little bit. By adding a ground other than that the marriage is irretrievably broken, which is you basically just saying there's no hope of reconciliation, you've done everything that you can to try and salvage the marriage, it's not going to work, you need a divorce, and as long as one party feels that way, they're going to get a divorce.
Yeah.
If you add another ground, like jokes aside, use as an example adultery. Adultery can be a ground for divorce. Now, some people will say, I want to put that in my petition for divorce.
Right. By
putting it in the petition, you have to prove that in order to get a divorce on the ground of adultery.
Right.
Sometimes what we'll say to people is, how important is it to prove that point? You can still bring the issue of adultery up in the context of a divorce. You may not get the divorce on the ground of adultery, but all of that bad behavior is still going to potentially come in if necessary.
And as far as the way we practice, we tend to not like to put all those things in there in the initial pleading because that's public record.
That's right.
And we think in most situations it opens the door to work towards settlement if it's not in there. Now there's exceptions for that rule, but for the most part, try to start off with a very vanilla pleading. The pleading is the first thing, was one of the things you file. A complaint for divorce is a pleading. You file it, keep it very vanilla. That's what starts the divorce process, the complaint. Keep it vanilla to keep the door open to settling the case. That way it doesn't cost the zombie an arm and a leg. Sorry.
If I had a zombie arm right now, I would beat you over the head with it. And for anyone listening, I wouldn't truly do that. I'm not a violent person. But, okay.
You just play one on TV.
That's right. And cost, I mean, look, our job as attorneys is to get our clients through a divorce as quickly and efficiently as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And the easier that the process is, if the parties can reach an agreement, if they can agree on terms, then there's no reason why it should be prolonged, and we can therefore limit the cost.
Exactly. So if you keep the pleading to a vanilla pleading, it could cost a lot less rather than starting off saying cruel treatment
or adultery, and then the other side, even if they did it, they are immediately defensive. They are immediately going to basically thinking they have to go to war to try and either disprove it or, prevent you from proving that bad behavior.
Yeah. Hey, and up next, it's my turn to give a hypothetical to Todd. And mine's going to involve the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Or the Back Lagoon.
Or the Back Lagoon. Welcome, everyone. I'm Lee Merriweather, and with me is Todd Orston. Todd and I are partners at the law firm of Merriweather & Tharp, and you're listening to Merriweather & Tharp Radio on the new Talk 106.7. If you want to learn more about us, you can always read about us online at AtlantaDivorceTeam.com. Well, today we are having our second annual Halloween special, and we are taking hypotheticals involving monsters and the undead and applying them to Georgia divorce law. Just having fun. Or family law.
Yes, we are.
And, all right, so I've got one for you. Are you ready?
1 second. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So this one involves, the creature from the Black Lagoon comes into your office.
All right, hold on. Like straight from the swamp, like goo and water.
What are you going to be like that? Are you discriminating against
creature,
them?
Black or Back Lagoon, as you put it.
Back Lagoon.
So from the Back Lagoon, all right, I just, my office, I just had it redone.
Okay.
So
all right.
Dripping stuff all over the place.
He's clean.
All right.
There's been several hours since he's been in the water. He had to come from South Georgia up, okay?
Okay, super.
So it's been several hours.
He's
and we have an amazing receptionist in Atlanta, and they got him a towel and showed him where the bathroom was.
We are a full-service firm.
So he is a clean, make-believe monster, and let's call him Tim the Creature.
No, I don't like that.
You know what? Don't like that?
There's no creature from the Back Lagoon is going to be called Tim. No offense to any Tims out there. It's actually a compliment. How about something like Vlad? Or Butch?
Butch?
I got it. How about Sir Butch Slimeskin?
Sir Butch Slimeskin?
Butch, Sir.
Sir.
Right, he earned that Sir
Butch
Slimeskin.
Okay.
All right.
So, gosh, now I got to remember that. Sir Butch Slimeskin,
yep.
I don't want to offend him, comes to you for a legitimation. He has a child with his old girlfriend, Betty.
Wait, hold. So I always thought of the creature as sort of a loner. But Mr. Slimeskin,
he's actually quite charming, especially with that name.
All right. And is Betty a creature?
Betty's human.
Betty's human. Crazy. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So so he is in a relationship with Betty.
Or he had been. It was consensual. He looked really dashing at the last lake party. And when he introduced himself as Sir Butch Slimeskin,
she built like a swimmer, just a V.
Yeah, she fell head over heels for him.
All right, got it. So, so they have a child.
Mm-hmm.
Is the child a creature?
Oh, well, the child's human looking, kind of like an amphibian. Think of like Aquaman.
Okay.
So kind of like he looks human. He's got gills. It's Halloween.
All right. Are you starting to understand how I felt in the last segment?
You're just trying to get me back, aren't you? Actually, think of him. So we're going to call the son Sam. And he's a dashing young lad. And in fact,
he's got gills. How dashing could he be?
When he grows up, he's going to be captain of the football team and the swim team.
And the swim team. Or the in the pool football. I mean, sort of water polo.
Polo.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
See, had you given this show any thought, you would have come up with polo.
That's what you're here for.
Shame on you. All right, so Sam he wants to legitimate Sam.
Wait, Sam wants to.
No.
Sir Butch
Slimeskin wants to legitimate. Al, are you following this?
You're getting all mixed up. It's because you came up with that fancy name.
I'm completely confused.
Yes, Sir Butch Slimeskin wants to legitimate their son Sam.
Okay.
But Betty is kind of objecting. She doesn't want their son Sam to go to be with his dad at the lagoon.
I think you've been drinking the lagoon water. I think that's the problem. Okay, so Betty's afraid of Sam going and living in the lagoon. Kind of understand that. And so this is really, we're talking about a legitimation issue, and she is objecting to the legitimation?
Yeah, well, I don't know if she's per se objecting to legitimation because she ultimately wants child support, but it's more like, not sure how he's going to pay child support, but that's...
All right, so well, let's very quickly then, putting aside all the normal issues we've been dealing with this show, that's monsters and all of that kind of thing. The bottom line is, first of all, legitimation is what is required to establish the legal rights of a father. By virtue of the fact that a mother gave birth to a child, automatically a woman has legal custody.
Right. This is out of wedlock. This is out of wedlock.
Right. If it's in wedlock, then there's also for the father an automatic legitimation.
Right.
So the first part, in order for any father who has a child born out of wedlock, is to legitimate that relationship. That is the platform from which the father can then fight for, rights as it relates to legal custody rights and physical custody rights of that child.
Yep.
So right off the bat, we're dealing with just the basics of him trying to establish legal rights. Now, if she's not fighting it, a mother, let's say, can fight legitimation. If a father has, let's say, he's been living in the lagoon, Sir Slimeskin has been out of the picture for years. 6 years, 7 years, then all of a sudden shows up one day and says, I'm ready to be a dad. Okay, and swimming lessons start tomorrow. Okay. She might say, no, I'm going to fight the legitimation.
Right.
And that's because the father has basically given up on...
He's abandoned
that right.
Yeah.
Okay. If
there's an exception if she just kept moving. So he'd swim up to the apartment on the river, and they had moved into another apartment, and he swam to that apartment, and then she'd gone. I mean, if she kept running.
Does she live in Venice with all these canals that he could just swim up to? All right. So, all right. Why don't we do this? Let's look at the legitimation statute. So the legitimation statute says that a biological father means the male who impregnated the biological mother, resulting in the birth of a child. So my first part of the analysis would be, I guess it doesn't say human.
Yeah.
So maybe we can apply, and maybe nobody will object to the fact that this is a creature. But so I believe that it can apply. Okay. So he can bring this legitimation action. So then it turns to more of an analysis of a
custody.
Custody issues that basically, are going to be considered when determining what rights he should have.
Right. So assume the court has now said we are going to allow the legitimation. Then the second analysis the court has to make is what should be the appropriate parenting time for Betty and Sir Butch Slimeskin when it comes to Sam. Where and when should Slam? We're going to call him Slam. Let's just change his name to Slam. Slam. Where should Slam be?
Slam from the back lagoon.
Yes. Where should he be and when should he be? And so you get into the best interest of the child standard, which is a standard that it's pretty common across the different United States. Of course, in Georgia, every state has their own description of what that means, and in Georgia, we've got several items.
Here, why don't you read?
Like
Why
one of
don't
them
you
is
talk
just
about a few of them.
like one of them's the love, affection, bonding, and emotional ties that exist between each parent and the child. The love, affection, bonding, and emotional ties between the child and his or her siblings, half siblings, step siblings, and the resonance of such children. Maybe each parent's knowledge and familiarity with the child and the child's needs. So, in this situation, well, Sir Butch Slimeskin, that's a long name, he's going to be very familiar with Sam's needs because she doesn't have gills and he does.
And Sam might have some allergy to lagoon water, and if Slimeskin doesn't know that, jokes aside, then the court's going to be like, well, hold on, you're fighting for certain custodial rights. You don't even know this child,
right?
If you haven't spent any time. Now, if this is a baby, if this is a young child, and especially if the legitimation is occurring later on in the child's life, and Sir Slimeskin in this situation has had an opportunity to build a relationship, court's going to recognize that.
Yeah.
Court's going to say, okay, we're doing this. The child is 10, let's say. But over the last 10 years, it's not like dad has been gone.
Mm-hmm.
He has built a relationship. He has been active. He has been involved. He understands the child's needs. There's clearly a bond between he and the child. At that point, certain custodial rights, what that looks like is a different discussion, are going to be appropriate.
Yeah, and one of the other factors is the home environment of each parent, considering the promotion of nurturance and the safety of the child rather than the superficial or material factors. So in his case, I guess one of the questions might be is how many alligators are in this lagoon? If there's a lot.
I have to assume he can sort of control the animals or at least not get eaten. But, yeah, I don't know. It's a creature.
Well, Sir Butch Slimes a lot. He can, but I don't know about the child.
All right.
So I would think that might be a little dangerous.
Well, you know what else is dangerous? Not going to a break.
Hey, up next, we're going to hear from Mommy the Mummy. Welcome, everyone. I'm Lee Merriweather, and with me is Todd Orston. Todd and I are partners at the law firm of Merriweather & Tharp, and you're listening to Merriweather & Tharp Radio on the new Talk 106.7. If you want to learn more about us, you can always read about us online at AtlantaDivorceTeam.com. Well, today is our second annual Halloween special.
That's the crowd going wild, by the way.
So we've been throwing hypotheticals at each other. We had a zombie, Joe the zombie, and we had Sir Butch Slimeskin, creature from the Black Lagoon.
That's right.
Or what was the other thing I said? Not the Black Lagoon, the
Back
Lagoon. That's
yes.
right.
Slam.
Slam.
Yeah, and Slam.
Yeah, so we need to talk about Mommy the Mummy.
Well, all right, hold on. Before we get into that, I apologize. I need to step out for a minute.
What?
I have to, a call came in.
We're recording.
I'm so sorry. I mean, we've done a lot of shows together. I apologize. This never happens to the listeners. I apologize, but I just need to step out for just a couple of minutes.
Okay. Well, I carry this show by myself anyways.
Oh,
just kidding.
Like a dagger through the heart.
Or a headshot.
Yeah, or a headshot. Right. All right. I'll be right back.
Just kidding. Oh, all right. Well, I don't.
Oh, the way I'm gone. I'm no.
Oh, well, I'm thrown off. I'm not sure what to do now. Hey,
Lee, I think someone's on the phone.
What? Well, that's weird because this isn't a call-in show.
Oh.
All right, well, let's all right, we'll put them on. All right. Hi, you're on the air with Lee, and until recently, Todd, who am I talking to?
This is Count Dracula. Blah, blah.
Hi, Count. Glad to hear from you. For our listeners, Count Dracula, he's a former client. We helped him with a divorce last year. What you been up to?
Hey, the same old stuff. Turning into a bat, hypnotizing and biting people. The normal stuff.
What? Biting people? Okay, well, I'm not going to judge. Hey, oh, by the way, I loved you in Hotel Transylvania 3. That was great.
a common mistake. That was my cousin.
What?
Blah. It was not even that good.
He looks just like you.
I would have done much better.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe Hotel Transylvania number 4. Okay. All right. So what can I help you with today?
Well, I have some good news. During my last trip to Walt Disney World, I bit the most amazing woman.
Did you say bit?
Let's just say she's new to the whole vampire thing. But that is not the point.
So what's the point?
Well, the point, my delectable friend, is that I am happy to announce that we're going to marry next month, blah, blah.
That's wonderful news.
And
think.
I did not even have to hypnotize her into saying yes.
Well, you're a lucky vampire. So what questions can I answer for you?
Well, when Miss Dracula divorced me last year, she bled me dry.
Hey, now hang on a minute. I don't want to pat myself on the back or anything, but I got you a really good settlement in that because of, the behavior, and she raided the blood bank and all that stuff. And I got you a great division of the marital assets.
No. I mean, she beat me and drank all my blood, blah, blah.
Okay. Well, how are you doing now?
Anyway, after I built up my strength, I ran into Bambi.
Bambi?
Her name is Bambi. I know. I could just eat her up. Seriously. Sometimes I want to eat her up.
All right. Well, since she's about to be your wife, I don't know if you want to eat her, but what is it you need my help with? Some marriage advice? Like how to make sure you don't get divorced a second time?
No, we are very happy and we'll live many, 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 many years together. But before we get married, I want to make sure my assets are protected. Do you think it would be a good idea to prepare a prenuptial agreement?
That's a great question, Count. And, it's a great topic to tackle on the show. So let's start by talking about the...
Wait, Lee, one moment. I have a phone call coming in. Yes, I have a... Lee, my blissful blood bag, I do have to take this call. It's my insurance agent calling about renewing my anti-staking policy. I will listen to your response on the air, and thank you very much. Blah, blah.
Thanks, Count. Oh, well, that was interesting.
Hey, Lee, I'm back.
What? You'll never guess who called.
Yeah, who? You took a call? Wait, Lee, this isn't a call-in show.
Oh, Dr. Count Dracula.
You're kidding me. How's he doing?
He's doing great. He's getting remarried.
Mazel tov. That's I'm very happy.
He needs a prenup.
A prenup?
Yeah.
You know what? He called the right place.
I know.
All right. So what? Let me guess. This segment we're going to talk about prenups.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. I'm good, even when I'm not here, which
good.
I wasn't. Except for those of you who might be watching the video, and I'm sorry for the loss.
All right, let's. Oh, so the only
talk
bummer.
About prenups.
I wish I could have kept talking to him because
he was done with you.
he's done.
I mean, I'm assuming.
I wanted more. I needed more information. For example, what sort of protection does he want? Does he want his assets protected for all time? Does he want to protect from having to pay alimony? Does he? Is there a phase-in he might want? So there's all kinds of things you can do with a prenup. At the end of the day, a prenup is an agreement between two parties that they usually do to say, okay, if we get a divorce, this is how we want our estate divided. Now, a prenup doesn't control a will. So let's say they get married and subsequently enter in or draft a will. That will is going to control over the prenup. The prenup is just for the divorce.
Well, think of it this way. A will is in the event that one of the parties passes away.
Right.
A prenup is in the event that the marriage is dissolved. And it's intended to basically avoid the fight and to protect assets.
Right.
In other words...
Or at least limit the fight.
Or limit the fight. Because think of it this way. There are some people who, when they get married, it might be a second marriage, or maybe they've had a good run and they have a lot of assets and they want the prenup to protect those assets. And even though Georgia law does a good job of identifying separate property versus marital property, a prenup is going to basically prevent claims against some of that non-marital or separate property. But there are some people, a lot of people nowadays, who right now, they may not have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll ask all the time, is a prenup a good idea? So without even though we know the kind of assets he has, if somebody came to us and didn't have a lot of assets and said, well, is a prenup a good idea for me? The answer is absolutely. Because you can still define what marital property looks like, what separate property looks like. So that way, 1 year, 2 years, 5, 10, 20 years down the line, if unfortunately you have to go through a divorce, you already have these definitions which will apply in the divorce action.
Right. And so, all right, so let's talk about Count Dracula. It's his second marriage, and that's usually where you see him. They coming from one marriage to another. They want to preserve the assets they had left out of the previous marriage. So one of the things you do is you put in there that that title can control. So let's say he kept his condo that he had, and even though you may, in normal situation, let's say he kept his condo and his name stayed on the condo and he didn't add his new wife, Bambi. Well, when there's payments made as a result of whatever he does to earn an income, all those movies his cousin's doing, maybe he gets royalties from them, I don't know. So he takes that money, pays it down the mortgage. Well, she has a marital interest on those payments under Georgia law, even though that's titled in his name. But if we do a prenup, then we can draft it so she has no interest in those payments, and so we can say title control. So regardless of where marital funds went during the course of the marriage, title to the property controls who keeps what. Now I've done some where the husband and wife actually came to the table both with a fair amount of assets, and they decided they want to do it because they didn't want a long, drawn-out fight if they got divorced years later. And they actually had a phase-out clause. So what I mean by that is they said if they'd been married longer than 15 years, that the prenup was no longer valid. And so they basically said after 15 years, that's a pretty good commitment. You know, neither of us were marrying each other, or nobody was marrying the other for their money or that sort of thing. And it goes away. So there's certain things that can be done in those situations, and the nice thing is it's a contract, so there's all kinds of things you can negotiate. There's one thing you can't negotiate, though, and that's children and child support. Well, that's two things.
And let me say two quick things also. Regarding the drafting, there are formalities that must be followed. So understand that there are people who have come to us and they're like, I have a prenup. And I look at it, and we see that it's basically like, you know, some loose leaf paper and he signed and she signed. It's like, there's our prenup. No. All right. Different states have different requirements in terms of what it needs to include. And if you don't follow those requirements, you're wasting your time because it's not going to be valid and it won't be enforced if you ever have to enforce it.
Yep. And up next, we're going to talk about Mommy the Mummy. Welcome, everyone. I'm Lee Merriweather, and with me is Todd Orston.
You almost messed that one up.
I'm just having too much fun
nice
with
to
this.
meet you.
I'm having too much fun with this Halloween show. I don't know. You look kind of like a Dracula to me.
Well, thank you. I look nothing like Dracula.
Welcome, everyone. You're listening to Merriweather and Tharp Radio on the new Talk 106.7. If you want to read more about us, you can always read about us online at AtlantaDivorceTeam.com. Gosh, I can't talk today. All right, so today is our second annual Halloween.
Yeah, we've been talking about different legal issues from the point of view, or not the point of view, but in relation to, let's say, a client who just happens to be a Halloween monster, you know. So you had the luck to talk to our previous client, Count Dracula, but we've also talked about Creature from the Black Lagoon, and his son and wife and legitimation issues, and the first one was, what was that first?
Joe
one?
the Zombie.
Yeah, the zombie, and how you just are the zombie killing machine. So yeah,
right.
Merriweather and Tharp, get a divorce and we'll kill your zombies.
That's right.
All
right.
So now how about this? I got one last hypo.
Okay.
Okay. So a mummy walks into your office.
Fire. Well, fire kills zombies, right? I mean, mummies, right?
All right. At least you got it that it was mummy, like, ooh, I have a pyramid mummy. Right. So a mummy who wants to hire you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hypothetical client.
Yes.
It's not how I keep
It only
forgetting.
took 4 segments for you to catch on.
It's not how we handle an undead outbreak. Okay, I'm sorry. I've been reading too many monster books
All right.
recently.
Are we ready?
We're
All right. You need to behave.
okay, I will.
All right. So, mommy
Okay.
walks into your office.
Now, wait a minute. Is this the mummy from the 1932 film with Boris Karloff, the 1999 film with Brendan Fraser, or the 2000 film with Tom Cruise?
It's from the 2018 version that eats Lee Merriweather.
Wait, was
That one hasn't come out yet, but it's being filmed right now.
Was it 2017? It was 2017 that movie came out, right? Tom Cruise.
I'll call Tom after the show. Can we just get on with the hypothetical? Oh my God!
Well, I'm trying to figure out which zombie. I mean,
I know
coming
Tom
in my...
watches the show religiously, and he's squirming right now, going, "Just get on with the advice."
All right.
Sorry, Tom. All right. So,
Well, we just need to speed this up. Come on.
all right. So, Mummy is seeking a change in child support, and what she's getting just isn't enough. And when child support was set originally, it was based on the misbelief that her new movie was going to be a huge box office success, but it didn't go nearly as she expected. So she's making less than what was put on the worksheets. And in addition, the father, Tom, is doing even better because he's released several movies to her one mummy movie. Okay. So
Okay.
this, again, is a child support modification case.
Well, was the child support set in a divorce case?
It was.
Okay.
In this hypo, it was in an original divorce case.
Because that can influence things.
Why?
Because there's a 2-year rule when it comes to support modifications that barring some involuntary job loss, you have to wait 2 years between each modification. I'm speaking just about Georgia right now. But you can modify at any point after a divorce. So there is not that 2-year limitation. All right. So is the child a mummy too? Because I mean, how much does a mummy need to spend on a mummy child? Because they're dead, right? I mean, they don't.
Do you know how much embalming costs? I mean, the wrap alone, and especially if you get it at like Nordstrom's, or you get like really nice wrap.
Okay.
I don't. You're a little out of touch, Lee. It's very costly.
I'm not as familiar. I don't know my mummy lore enough.
And the what are they? The scarab beetles. I mean, they have a couple of pet beetles, and
They eat a lot.
And I don't know what they eat other than the people who are foolish enough to go into their pyramids. So, anyway.
All right. So, well, there's a lot we could talk about here. Well, what? Do you know what changes there been? Have there been any changes besides his movies?
So let's say, all right, jokes aside, let's say that the big changes are that her income has gone down.
Okay.
His income has gone up.
All right. Well,
and let's even say, without putting a number on it, let's say that it was a significant reduction for her and significant increase for him.
So I guess we would. One thing we would do is we would plug those numbers in. Now, a challenge you have here in Georgia is that child support worksheets, the BCSO, the Basic Child Support Obligation, caps out at a total of $30,000 a month. And when you're talking about movie stars, where you can quickly exceed $30,000 a month. So often there's a high income deviation. And that's one of the things that's going to have to be examined. This is not a typical, apart from being an undead child support modification case, there is it's not your typical case because you're dealing with high income parties.
Well, I didn't say that. These are B and C level movies. I mean, these are not. These aren't the good mummy movies. These are. Yeah.
These aren't the good movies.
But you're right. You're right. With very high income, the calculator caps out at $30,000 a month combined gross income. doesn't mean that the court can't consider additional income.
Right.
It's just that at that point it becomes a deviation. You're asking the court to go beyond what the calculator and what the worksheet allows for.
Right. So again, getting very hyper focused on Georgia law right now, because when it comes to deviations, there's mandatory deviations and then there's discretionary deviations. And as soon as you fall outside that, the BCSO, now you're in discretionary territory. And so the courts at that point are going to have to look at, they're going to have to look at, what are the child care or the cost relating to the mummy child. So that's, I was trying to understand I didn't think about the wraps costing a lot of money.
You just don't think, Lee. All right, clearly.
You have to wrap every day?
You've never hung out with a mummy. So my best friend as a child was a mummy.
So the one thing you got to look is, what are the costs? And, are there any extraordinary costs associated with the care of this mummy child? And I guess maintaining the pyramid could be expensive.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one misunderstanding people have. Child support is, to some degree, not just the food that a child eats and the clothes that a child wears. It's also a little bit the car that each parent uses to drive the child around, and the home that each parent lives in that the child also lives in. But in the amount of time that we have, and we've done shows on child support, but in the limited time that we have, you have to think of it almost in terms of, do I have enough to just get my foot in the door to modify? Has there been a material change of circumstance? In this situation, I'm saying there has been. So the foot's in the door. Now the calculation, you're off and running. And at that point, it's collecting information from mom, information from dad. You put it all into the worksheet, like you said. It's going to spit out a new number. And there are times, and this is why it's important to sometimes, if you don't know how to work the calculation yourself, talk to an attorney. We're doing tomorrow, we're doing an internal seminar to go over the new online worksheet, not because we haven't learned about it, but because we are always trying to better understand it.
Right.
So if you're not somebody who works in this area, then talk to somebody, because you may not put something that should be there. You may put something that shouldn't be there, and that can have a significant impact on child support.
So if you're a member of the undead or a Halloween monster, talk to a lawyer before you file anything with court.
Absolutely. That's what Drac would say.
That's what Drac would say. Hey, everyone.
And Dracula endorses Merriweather and Tharp.
Oh, wow. We need to get that out there. Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? We want to wish everyone a safe and fun and happy Halloween.
Yeah.
We always love doing this show. And, if you want to learn more about us, like I said, check us out online at AtlantaDivorceTeam.com. If you have any ideas for our Halloween show next year, you can always email us at radio@mtlawoffice.com. That's M as in Mary, T as in Tom, mtlawoffice.com. You can also, if you want to, topics for other family law shows, just email us at that same email address, and we'll try to work those shows in. And we've actually gotten some emails on that, and I'm working on bringing in some more experts to come on for future shows. And in fact, the next show, we've got two new co-parenting, not new, I'm sorry, a co-parenting husband and wife team, and they're pretty amazing, and they've authored a book, but they're going to come on the next show to talk about the top 10 things that children wish they could tell their divorcing parents. So that's going to be a good show.
Unlike this one. And by the way, I'm doing the Dracula voice on every single show from now on. I mean, I didn't do the voice. But if I did.
You did.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much for listening.
This audio program does not establish an attorney-client relationship with Merriweather and Tharp.